For your Dragster project, I'm going to give you some different constraints every year. So this is going to be a default of something that might happen. So you're going to start off with making a new sketch on this, making a 2-point rectangle, and we're going to make this the same size as the sheet of stock that I'm giving you. So let's say that this year I'm giving you a 16 by 12 sheet of masonite. Okay, you're going to extrude that to be 0.125, and now you have something you can work with. Now all of your wheels, your body, your connectors, they all have to come out of this one sheet. So from here on out, we're going to be making new sketches on top of this to make sure that everything is actually going to come out of this. When you're making your dragster, you can decide to make it for style or for distance. Now there's going to be challenges on both, and a winner for both of those things. The grade will not matter. This is going to be the direction your team chooses to go. If you think you want to win the distance, go distance. If you would rather win the style, go style. I'm just going to show a basic distance one here. For distance, you want to make the wheels as big as possible. The bigger the wheels, that means that the more times, if I make one revolution of this wheel, I will travel that circumference, right? So if I travel 2 of those, make sure these are the same size. Sorry, you have to have 2 wheels in the back. It has to be powered somehow by a rubber band. You might be able to get away with 1, but it's going to take a lot of engineering on your part. So for every 1 time that this goes around, you're going to travel a long way. If you just stick with the little wheels, again, if you're going to try and make it stylish, then you're going to end up with less distance, because I'm guessing your wheels are going to stay pretty proportional to your car. And the next thing I want you to do is to figure out how big the axle hole needs to be. These are going to be equal to each other, and each year the dowel rods are going to be a little bit different size. Let's say this year it was 0.625. That might be a standard size. I don't know. We'll see. You're going to need a couple of front wheels in here. And I'm not constraining any of this to the box at all, so I can still kind of click center points and drag stuff around as need be. And I'm just going to go back and say that these 2 things are equal and these 2 things are equal. So now I have 2 front wheels, 2 back wheels. I'm ready for some kind of a body. I don't feel like being super fancy in this video, so I'm just going to make a little rectangular body. I want it to be symmetrical, so I'm going to say that these 2 things are equal and these 2 things are equal. I will have to have a place for the wheels to pop through, so if I look at it, I can probably put 1 hole about there. And I'll have another one up here somewhere. And I want them on the same place on this other one. You don't want one body half being taller than the other body half. That would not do very well. So just to make sure, I am going to line these up. Those are across from each other. And make sure these are lined up across from each other. So if I do go and try and move this, that'll go with it. And then I should probably also drop in a dimension saying how big this is. And these 2 things should be equal. So one way to do that is I could just double click one of them and click on the other one and say that whatever this dimension is, that's what that one will be too. So if I put in 0.7, they'll both be 0.7. Okay, so now I'm getting somewhere. I have 2 wheels for the back, 2 wheels for the front. I have 2 halves of a body. I'm done, right? No. I have to have some way to connect the body together. So I'm going to make a rectangle, and just a stick isn't going to do very well. So instead, I'm going to put another piece inside of it, and I'm going to say that that midpoint matches with this midpoint. So if I go to stretch this, it's going to move symmetrically, and this one should also move symmetrically. So whatever I set up for that should be about right. And I'm going to go back in here and trim each of these things. So this distance from here to here needs to be the same as the thickness of this whole sheeted cardstock stuff. Not cardstock, masonite, 0.125. And that needs to be the same on both sides. So I'm just going to grab my equal constraint again. I'm going to click on that small piece and say that those two are the same, those two are the same, those two are the same. Make sure that these stay equal, these stay equal. And now that I have that one, I want a couple more. So I'm going to have at least 2 connectors for this body. So one thing I could do is just say copy. I'm going to highlight all of this, click on somewhere for a base point, and click off of it again. And there's 2 body pieces. Okay. Now I want to have some kind of a, I'm not quite done yet, because I do have to drive this using a rubber band. So let me make one more of these. Let's copy one more. And this one we're going to make special. This one we're going to make have a little something on the end. That's going to be the anchor for the rubber band. And I like for things to look nice, so I'm going to find the midpoint of this and the midpoint of this, match those up, and I'm going to trim off the stuff in between. Now, I have 3 things that connect the body halves together, but I don't have a way for this to go into the body yet, so I have to make some slots here. These 2 things should really be identical, so I'm actually going to just delete this. I know I put a lot of work into it. I'll get over it. I'm going to dimension this to be 0.125, because we said that's how thick this whole sheet is. And it looks like magically they're all that size now. That's cool. I also want these things to be equal. And I want this length to be the exact same as this length. And each of these should be the same as well, right? Cool. Okay, good. Those are all linked up together. Now, the reason why I changed my mind on that other piece is because what I'm going to do now is just draw a line. I'm going to keep it vertical, make it a construction line, and I'm just going to mirror this over this. And if I need to drag it back onto the sheet, I can. That's going to ensure that these 2 things are exactly identical. So now I have 2 back wheels, I have 2 front wheels, I have ways to connect the 2 halves of the body together, I have something for the rubber band to anchor onto. What I still don't have is a way for the rubber band to wind up. So I have to have something to drive these 2 back wheels. So I'm going to make some kind of a circle. Still has to have that same slot in the back here, and And it could be something simple where you're just choosing to cut a chunk out of this. Or it could be something more complicated. So that would work. The rubber band would stick inside of that and it would wind itself up. We could also say have something like this, where these two things are tangent, these two things are tangent. Let's keep those two things tangent. And let's make one more circle, and then you'll see where I'm going with this, hopefully. Make those tangent. And we'll stick that inside of there. That one got away from me a little bit. So you could have something more like a hook as well. And that could look kind of cool. Alright, so now that we have all of this, we have to make it to where we can assemble this together virtually. So we're going to finish our sketch. And you're going to just say extrude, and you'll pick one piece at a time. So I'm going to pick this piece, and I want to get rid of everything but this piece. So instead of saying to add material or to cut material, I'm going to say to intersect material. Anything that this shape is not touching is gone. So I do that. I'm going to say File, Save As, and let me make a new folder for myself here. New folder. We'll call this Dragster. Back wheel. Save. After this has been saved, I'm going to right click and delete that. Uncheck this box so I still have the sketch there. I'm going to say extrude again. This time I'm going to pick a front wheel. Intersect. OK. File. Save As. I already have a back wheel. Front wheel. Save. Delete that. Rinse and repeat. Same thing over and over again. Extrude. Pick one of these pieces. Intersect. OK. File. Save As. I'm going to show you one more time. These two things are still there. Save it as a body connector. When I go into my assembly drawing, I'm going to go in place from my desktop, Dragster, 2 back wheels, 2 body connectors, 2 front wheels. 1, 2. And we can set these up and put these together. You will have to make the dowel rod separate, but this should be a quick and easy kind of thing to do. And this is how you'd make the fast body with the big wheels on the back.